Right. Hello, hello, Facebook and YouTube. It is amazing to see you guys again here today. We apologize for being just a little bit late. You know how it goes in the world of tech. When you need it to work, it actually never does.
Although it comes across a little Hollywood.
Really?
Yes,
Fashionably.
fashionably late.
So we're very, very happy that we made it all the way over here to you guys. You're watching the Coffee Shop Conversations show for entrepreneurs. I am Nestene.
And that would make me Peter.
We are the co-founders of Explore ProTech Entrepreneurial Haven. So every single week we come to you once a week and we create an hour where entrepreneurs can literally just connect with each other, have fun together, learn from each other, discuss a whole bunch of entrepreneurial stuff. So that is what we are going to be doing again today, and we're going to not keep you waiting. We'll get right into it. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be chatting about a day in the life of an entrepreneur. So day in the life of a successful entrepreneur. That is what we're chatting about today. And we have some very, very awesome entrepreneurs here with us, ready to chat about that topic. So because we're such an intimate group today, we're not going to make people put up their hands, so we won't be doing the hand emoji like always. We're just going to ask everyone to open up their mics and we're going to have a fun conversation together. When they have stopped speaking, though, they are going to drop their name, their business name, and just a little bit about what they do. Because remember, as always, we'll be linking their LinkedIn links in the description below. So if you want to connect with any of these fabulous human beings, these are our friends. We did the legwork for you. We found them. You're welcome. You can literally just go to the description down below, click on the link, say, I saw you on the show. Shall we have a coffee? And they'll probably be more than happy to have a chat with you.
Just to clarify, when we say a day in the life of a successful entrepreneur, success is different for everyone. So we're not looking at wealth. We're not looking at what does successful entrepreneur day look like. That success can mean anything. So let's not define it as one thing.
Awesome. Great. So on that note, Andrea, it looks like you're very ready to get into this conversation. Do you want to take us through a little bit about what a day in your entrepreneurial life looks like?
I'd be happy to do that. My name is Andrea Susan Glass. I'm a nonfiction book coach and best-selling author, and my business is called Writer's Way. You can find me there and on LinkedIn and about everywhere. I'm what you'd call the perfect balance of right and left brain. And my left brain helps me stay organized, and my right brain helps me create books for me and other people. So my left brain starts on Sunday night, supposedly, that we're talking about, let's say Monday being my work day. And on Sunday night, I take a look at my calendar for the whole week and get a sense of where I'm going and what's on my plate to see if I need to do anything in advance to be ready. Perhaps Sunday night, I might send reminders to some of the appointments I have on Monday. Then Monday morning, I start the day with a meditation, and then do my personal items of breakfast and shower. And then I get on the computer and handle emails right away. I like to get that out of the way. And I have 3 different email addresses that I have to check. So that's a little bit laborious. But if I get it out of the way the first thing, I feel like I won't be distracted by it the rest of the day. So I have a daily form that I fill out, and it's got my priorities, and it's got meetings, and a few other things on there just to balance out a few little areas for personal. When I want to take breaks, I might go out to my garden, I might cuddle with the cat, because I feel like being on the computer for more than 1 hour straight is difficult for my body and my eyes and my mind. So I basically like to break it up, and I plan in advance perhaps what my breaks are going to be. I also in the morning plan all my meals for the day. So that's all the planning is taken away in the morning, and then I don't have to think about it the rest of the day. A typical day will look like meetings. Today, I actually have 6 Zoom meetings. So I'm prepared. I get a sense of who the people are that I'll be talking with. Some will be clients, some will be prospects, and some will be coffee chats like this. Oh, some will be webinars. You know, I keep my education up by taking webinars from time to time. I also make sure the first thing in the morning that my desk is clear. Any notes, anything that's distracting is all handled and put away. And at the end of the day, I look back at what I accomplished during the day. I have an accountability partner, so I save my notes for what I accomplished that day. And every Monday morning, we send each other our accountability checklist for the past week and the next week. And then I reward myself in the evening by a couple of hours of TV, some artwork, and my dinner. And that's the day and the life of me.
That is so interesting. I love how every single day looks really different. And I'm so happy for you that you have time to fit in artwork. What types of artwork do you get up to, Andrea, after a busy day of being an entrepreneur?
I do mosaics, I do jewelry, and I do fused glass.
Oh, that is
One
so
of my
cool.
pieces.
That is lovely. I love
Since
them.
my last name is Glass, I have to work in glass.
That is really, really cool. I love the balance that you actually bring into your day. Very, very interesting.
Well, we all know what lack of balance brings, and I think Rita will know exactly what lack of balance brings. But for me, without that balance of actually not only focusing on your workload, because constantly focusing on a workload will just burn you out. So actually taking the time to put yourself first, and it is not a selfish thing to do at all. Putting yourself first is actually thinking of others, because you put yourself first so that you can function, and then you can function better for others than you could if you just kept grinding. So I think taking the time is really important.
Well, being a solopreneur does not mean being solo, because I have a walking partner. I have a meditation coach. I have a business coach. I have an accountability partner. I have a business partner. So the term solopreneur is not correct. I'm not solo. Just because I live alone in a home with me and my cat, I have all these other connections to support me. If I didn't have a walking partner, I probably wouldn't walk as much as I do. And then I have a garden that supports me right outside my office door. I grow a lot of my own organic vegetables, and that supports me. So I have a lot of support that keeps me going, because running your own business, it takes a lot of focus. But if you don't have those other support systems, you can burn out, as Peter says.
Yeah, I think that is actually really, really important. Burnout is actually selfish, if you think about it. Creating a space where you push so hard that you burn out, and once you burn out, everybody else suffers. So to allow yourself to burn out is selfish. To take the time to focus on yourself is actually completely the opposite. It's unselfish.
Selfless.
So yeah, very selfless, extremely selfless. And I think it's very important. And a lot of people end up feeling guilty. They're like, I should be working, but and I feel guilty when I take the time to actually focus on myself. And then that guilt sinks in, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll just take 5 minutes and then I'll get right back to work. Take the hour, take the time, focus on yourself. I think it's really important.
I'll think about it.
I'll think about it
too. Rita, I'm very keen. I'm so interested to hear, what does a day in your entrepreneurial life look like? Take us through a Rita entrepreneurship day.
I first want to ask the question, is there ever a perfect day in the life of an entrepreneur?
I think they get close sometimes.
I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
I think whether or not there is one, we strive for one.
Yeah, I agree. We strive for one. So then I would ask you, what does perfectionism mean to you? Does it mean just to be busy the whole day, or is there something else going on? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I haven't got a perfect day. That's as simple as what it is. And my life really is around what is serving me. And if it's serving me, it serves my business. Because me, and my business is one. So for me, it's really important to whatever I do to keep on asking this question, is this serving me? Yes. And with that, I think important things are routine, discipline. You need to have that pulled into your day to give yourself structure. Because if that's not there, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. And it doesn't matter what it is. Doing your own advertising, how much hours do you spend that? Do you put time aside for pure advertising? How many hours do you put aside for pure coaching? How many hours do you put aside for, well, if you haven't got a financial guy to do your marketing? And if you've got those guys, the better, because it does free up time where I can do something else. Now, my day also starts with meditation, and my day ends with meditation. That is just one of the non-negotiables in my life. It's non-negotiable. And then it's really just the normal structure, and I've put it out on my diary. This is the hours that goes to my coaching practice. And if I've got an hour open between clients, is it time for me to recharge? Or can I carry on with something else? I prefer, before I see a client, to at least have about 15 minutes quiet time before I go into my meeting. It's not always possible, but I work hard to maintain that, because I need to recharge myself. And I've actually done a couple of years ago, I've done a test on myself. What the impact is on my heart and my heart coherence if I have a difficult client and I can't reset and I have another client. It's this is very scientific. That stuff is amazing. You've got a difficult client that you battle to work with, your heart coherence, your heart is out of sync. And for me to be effective, my heart has to be in sync. And that takes time. That really takes time. And that's why I prefer to have at least 50 minutes before time just to reset myself. But yeah, I've also got my people around me. I've got a little birdie that reminds me if I'm not grounded, she will bite the shit out of me. And that's time that I need to figure out what is going on. It is important that you find some other stuff, and it is actually amazing that if you sit back, how creative you can be. And if you allow that creativeness to come through, then you start enjoying it. Then it is just an expression of something in another space. And that is awesome. And that is relaxation on its own. Lucky, I'm close to the beach. I do spend a bit of time at the beach, close to the water, because the water for me has got a huge impact on my well-being. And that's my life. That's really, I think, I've got my routine, but I don't think there's ever a perfect
I think our days are so opposite. The water scares me. We all know I can't swim.
Very interesting that both of you start your days with meditation, hey? Very, very interesting. I know entrepreneurs, like a lot of entrepreneurs, are super into meditation. I've been trying to get Peter into meditation.
Well, something that I realized is that if you've got something that takes your mind and it takes it somewhere else, for Rita, that might be walking on the beach. For Andrea, that might be working with glass or having meditation. For me, that would be working in a workshop or a garage, and it would be painting a car, or it would be fixing a carburetor or something. But we've all got to have that one thing. And a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we don't have that one thing. We don't have that one thing where we can just block out the world, and we can just focus on something that's going to take our mind somewhere else. And then at the end of that, actually have a result. And either the result from meditation being that you're more at peace, or the result from me working on a carburetor means that I get to start a car and it's ecstatic. And I think this is where I actually really like Sabrina's space, because Sabrina, we've had a couple of conversations and they've been really, really interesting. And what Sabrina does is not exactly in the title, but it creates a very meditative space. So I would love your input on this space, Sabrina.
It's very therapeutic to basically what I do in terms of going through photos and being creative with those photos and creating legacy books. That's my therapy. That's my even when I'm not doing it for myself and I'm doing it for others, even though I'm doing it for strangers, right? And I get to know them, and I too, like Rita, I sit back and I take that time to circle back to myself and examine what I'm working with, and then jump into it when I start working with a client, and because I'm dealing with their memories, I'm dealing with their family, their story. So that's very I think that's when I'm most creative, and that's when I think I'm working, but I feel most free, I guess, in a sense. Yeah, it's like we've talked about this, that it's a form of therapy. And for me, that's where I started, because it was after I lost my mom, and it was a form of therapy for me. It really helped me through my grief process in doing this. And that's why I wanted to start doing it for other people professionally, and really help them more than anything. So yeah, it just sometimes I get stuck in a rut, and I still to this day question, is this something valuable? Is this something worth selling? Is this something worth giving out to the world, or is this just a hobby, right? So I still struggle with that, and I think that's why I've been so withdrawn from it. And yeah, it's been difficult. It's been a battle to still to grab that confidence and just go forward with it and just jump in and dive and just have that confidence to go forward. I've really struggled with that a lot.
Well, it's a good thing that you've got a community, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And a whole Rita for yourself. Rita, you never told us what you do. Do you maybe want to just tell us quickly?
So I'm a bookkeeper part-time. So I do that for basically that's my job. And then I started, I'm very creative. So I started scrapbooking. I create like scrapbooks for people, photo albums, because in this digital world, nobody prints their photos anymore. Everything's on our phones, our clouds. And I just think that so many things will be lost if they're not printed. You know, social media is rented space. Everyone's posting their photos there. It's rented space. One day it won't be there anymore. Or it'll be a different form of it, and we'll lose precious memories, we'll lose things. And I just think that if we print our photos and we record our memories and we record our traditions for our own kids, our families, our future generations, our lives, our memories will live on. So I just want to help people do that and encourage people to do that, because I just think it's like I said, I started doing this more so after I lost my mom, and I wasn't a mom at the time. So with these books that I've created with my own family of my mom, and when she immigrated to Canada and before that, I sit down with my kids and we go through them, and it's like my kids know my mom from what I've told them, but seeing physically tangible things in their hands, seeing things, it's a different level, it's a different experience. And I just want to share that and really let people bring that aware to people to how important it is. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
And Rita, you also never told us what you do. Do you want to tell us? Because I think confidence is one of the things that you actually help with, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually just want to go back to what Sabrina said, and it's really to find that thing that makes you happy. And I think Andrea also said that. Because that thing that makes us happy is actually the thing that guides us to what's our purpose in life, if we investigate that properly. And so you need to do what you enjoy doing. And unfortunately for entrepreneurs, we need to do some stuff that we don't enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And that is a real pain in the butt. But we also need to find ways that we handle that. I always remember my coach tells me, but you know what? Just love what you do. Doesn't matter. And love is critical in the sense that if I hate what I'm doing, then there's a huge lot of resistance to it.
Yeah.
If I just love, although I don't like what I'm doing, just love what I'm doing, that resistance change and it becomes something else. And then I do have the ability to even see the good in the stuff that I really don't like. And even in there's some teachings for me each and every day. So Nestene wants to know what I'm doing. Not sure why. I'm Rita Schoeman. I am the owner of Coaching with Heart. Nimble, independent, and unassuming.
Thank you, Rita.
Actually, Sabrina, something that I was thinking about. I think that this is something that you're not on your own with. Even if we just put aside what we consider the perfect day for an entrepreneur, and we just look at ourselves for a moment, I can guarantee you that there's not one entrepreneur on the face of the planet that doesn't experience what we call imposter syndrome, where we go, am I actually supposed to be here? Am I the right person for this task? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing this correctly? Are there people that are better at this than I am? Should I be the one that's being recognized? All these questions, they fly at us left, right, and center. I experience it all the time. As somebody that has my particular level of education, I often find myself in a space where there are people in my space that are a lot more educated than I am. Yet I'm the one teaching them. Which creates a space where it goes, well, am I actually the person that's supposed to be doing this? Isn't there somebody else that's supposed to be? Those are all just little fears that kind of ruin what is supposed to be our perfect day as an entrepreneur, because we have these thoughts that all just come flying at us. But the reality is that there's not one entrepreneur on the face of the planet that does not experience those thoughts. We all do. Nestene does, I do, Andrea does, Rita, I'm not so sure. No, of course she does. But we all experience that. But the nice thing is that we can conquer that, because our thoughts, we can actually hold them captive. It's when we don't hold our thoughts captive and we allow them to run wild, then they just kind of do their own thing, and then we just keep thinking along those lines of, are we good enough? Are we ever going to get to this point? Are we ever going to succeed? Will it ever look the way I want it to look? The reality is, no, it'll probably never look the way you want it to look. But do we allow our thoughts to dictate whether we do or do not? And the answer is no. We don't. We find spaces and create ways, and also when Andrea mentioned the fact that the solopreneur, that you're actually never solo, and you shouldn't be. So, and I think this is actually a good space to realize that as entrepreneurs, we have the luxury of building community where we don't have to be solo, where we actually can function together, where we actually can reach out to each other. And then also to realize that there are entrepreneurs out there that don't have a community, or don't understand the value of community, and don't understand the value of being in each other's spaces. And we need to highlight that, because people like that tend to burn out. They work really, really hard and then can't understand why they're not getting as far as what they should be, and burn themselves out, and will never experience what we are striving for as the perfect day for an entrepreneur. And we may never see the perfect day. It may not exist. But we are going to sure as hell try to get there.
You know what my perfect entrepreneurial day looks like?
Pina coladas on the beach, umbrella.
How did you know that? Like, how did you know that? Did you guys know that?
I second that.
That sounds like the perfect entrepreneurial day, and the business list literally just runs itself in the background.
No, please, don't stop feeding me fruit. Fan some more.
That would be amazing. Something that I'm interested to find out is in your day of the life of an entrepreneur. If we just come back to the topic a little bit, right, Peter?
Right.
Okay, day in the life of an entrepreneur. How many hours a day do you guys spend on average, like, on work? Because I'm very obsessed with this number. I've been trying to figure it out. Sometimes I do 10 hours, but then if I take the effective hours, it's more like 7. So I kind of felt like if it's like 6 productive hours, sometimes that's good enough. But then I'm not sure.
And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where I just don't care.
Peter just literally, he doesn't even like have I don't think you have like a timer or anything.
I don't have a timer. I don't have a routine.
But I have like a timer. I'm like very keen of. Rita, you will understand this. You also come from the world of chartered accountancy. It's like productive hours. Like how many hours a day should be work hours? How many hours a day should be not work hours? And how is your current setup looking? So let's maybe start with.
I don't know. You know, I've set out. I've set out about 6 hours a day for coaching, but there is some more hours to the day than just the 6. Because there's still a big part of that is my own personal development. There's a lot of study work that goes in there. I read a lot, and that is part of my day. That is part of my day. So normal day. Well, I also believe that you need to have at least 7 hours of sleep. That is also non-negotiable.
Yeah, so important.
That is so important. So, you know, if you work, if you sleep 7 hours and you work 10 hours, you've got 7 hours. I don't know, to do what?
You, Andrea, how many hours for you? Do you have like a target, like this is how many hours a day should be work hours?
Yeah, I consider my work day, and I tell this to people because a lot of my community are retired, and I tell them this is my work day, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, usually between 9:30 to 10, I clean up my emails. 10 o'clock is when I would start to have either client calls or coffee chats or attend networking events or do client work. And then throughout the day, that's 10 hours, but throughout the day, I take a half hour for lunch. I take time for a walk, meditation, you know, breathing, getting into the garden. So I would say that boils it down to 8 hours. And then sometimes I'll kick off at 7:30 if I'm making dinner from scratch, because that's the way I am. But I usually eat dinner at 8. So I know that my workday is over at 8. And before I go to sleep, I do check emails once again. And I do get, Rita, I usually get 7 hours of sleep for sure. And I do my reading in the morning. I get up early, about 5:36, and I usually read for an hour or two. Fun reading and business reading both. So I usually go through 3 or 4 books a week.
Oh, wow.
Nice. And you, Sabrina, do you have like a target, like how many hours a day is work? Because you're still having like your work and then your other work, and then you're like me. Do you know I have 4 jobs and the business?
Yeah, I am all over the place. So because 2 days a week I go into the office. So generally Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays I work from home, but I struggle with, because even though I'm working from home, then I have my other clients that I'm independent with that I do work for. So I go back to what Rita was saying, is what I'm doing with the bookkeeping aspect, servicing myself with what I really want to do, because it's taking up a lot of my time. And then when I do sit down and work creatively on something, I get distracted. I'm like, oh, my phone will go off and I'll be like, okay, I need to deal with this. So that creative, how productive am I, depends on what I'm doing. And maybe on my business, on my love, on my passion, maybe an hour a day, maybe 2 hours a day. And that's not even every day. And a lot of the time I find that I'm doing it at night after my kids go to bed, like 10 o'clock, I'm sitting down and I'm working on something, because I do invitations as well. And now here in Canada, it's the season for sacraments, for Catholic sacraments. I'm busy with that. So I find that I'm working till like some 10 to midnight. And then I'm like, oh my God, I need to get to sleep. I need to get my 7 to 8 hours, because if I don't, I know I'm going to feel it the next day. And then when I'm serving my clients, it's like, okay, that's what's really bringing in the money right now. So I need to be on top. So what I'm going back to that again is what I'm doing servicing what I want to do? I don't think so, but it's what's paying the bills right now. So, and that's where it's kind of blurred, and it's I'm productive, but in terms of working on, you need to find time to work on yourself. And one thing that I've adopted is, because of my flexibility of my schedule in the morning, I walk every morning. I walk 3 to 4 kilometers every morning. And I make sure I do that every morning, because if I don't, I feel it the rest of the day. I'm better. I try to work out too, but that's, I make sure I walk, because I think it's helped me a lot. It's, you know, I listen to audiobooks, I listen to podcasts, whereas before I would just listen to the radio. And now I'm like, I'm doing more things that serve me in that sense mentally, but work-wise, I haven't done very well that way. But I would much rather do what Peter said earlier, sit on a beach with a couple of pina coladas, no problem. In a heartbeat.
I mean, everybody's different. Like, for instance, I see that Andrea and Rita are very similar. They have very tight-knit schedules, and then they can kind of maneuver between that schedule quite flexibly, but still the schedule is it's in place. Nestene is kind of the same, but not quite. And I am completely the opposite, where don't even write anything down on a piece of paper. If it looks like a list, I'm not going to look at it.
It's so difficult to work with Peter. I'm not even trying. It's very difficult.
For me, if I have a general understanding of what I want, what the vision is, and a general understanding of the things that are required to get from A to B, my process of getting there is not one of creating a schedule to get there, but always making a plan to make sure I end up at my goal. So it's different ways of functioning and different ways of working. And I think we all have to be, I mean, we all understand that everybody is different.
Do we? Really?
We should.
Peter, absolutely, we all are different. And I think sometimes, especially with the bunch of people that say they're perfectionists, they focus on the small shit. Instead of seeing the bigger picture and work with that.
Yeah.
The other thing that eats a lot of your time is multitasking.
I'm such a culprit, Rita. Oh my God, I lose hours of my life to multitasking.
Precisely. Don't multitask, because you lose your focus on what you're supposed to do right now. And your mind wanders to I don't know where. And then it takes you a whole hour to get back to what you're supposed to. So multitasking is really a big culprit in wasting time. But it also causes a whole lot of anxiety in people. I've seen it, I've experienced it. I had multiple people. One day I'll tell you the stories about it. But the moment that you multitask, you are not focused. And that through that, you lose a lot of time.
But Rita, don't you also sometimes go like, and Andrea, I don't know if this is true for you, but don't you guys also sometimes feel like you're doing this one specific thing, right? And maybe it's like a little bit of typing or proofreading or something that you can kind of do, and your brain can do something else as well. And then while you're doing that, then your brain is like, oh, but the marketing isn't done. That person wasn't called. You should be doing that. Like, this isn't done. Like, it's like entrepreneurship is so intense.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you cope
Absolutely.
with that?
You know what? I had instances where I was busy with something, and when I found myself, I was in the kitchen or somewhere else, and then I was, what the shit are you doing here? Why are you here? What do you want to do? And you bring you back immediately to where you was, and you start focusing again, and you finish off the task that needs to be done. Because if you don't do it, you all over the show, and nothing gets done. Nothing gets done.
Do you ever experience that, Andrea? Or is your life like so organized, like everything's so perfect? It's like, I can just do this for the next 30 minutes. I know it's going to take exactly 30 minutes. And then I know I'm going to go on to the next thing, and that's going to be absolutely perfect. Like, are you ever like busy with one thing, and then you're like, oh my goodness, like I should have called this person, and that person didn't get this. And then, does that ever happen for you?
Well, you know, I am a multitasker. However, I find that we can all get overwhelmed because entrepreneurs have a lot on their plate. You know, we're working for the client, we're doing our marketing, we're doing our admin. And I basically have two businesses. One is marketing my services, and one is marketing my books, which is a product. So I'm juggling two different areas. But what I do when I lay out my day is I know that I will feel accomplished if I handle the high priority tasks. And even if I have 10 things on my list, but I do 2, as long as those 2 are the high priority, I guess it's called the 80-20 rule. You know, if you accomplish 20%, so we can't, I find I will not beat myself up when there are things that have not gotten done at the end of the day, because it's not productive for me. And because I have my accountability partner on Monday, even if I send her that I accomplished 4 things and she sent me 10, it doesn't matter, because the high priority things get done. And that's something that's a skill. We have to learn how to decide which are the high priority items. Usually the first high priority is one that has a time limit, something that has to be done by a certain time. And the next high priority thing is the one that's going to give us results that we're looking for, whether it's expanding something, developing new product, or taking in some income. So it boils down to choosing the items that have a time priority and that have a goal priority. And even if there's 10 things on my list and I accomplish 2, I know that I accomplished the ones that I put at the top of the list, because those were high priority. And I use Outlook calendar. So when something doesn't get done, I double click it, I send it to another day. And it might be the next day, or it might be a day later in the week. But for a while, I tried to organize myself where I would only do educational items on one day and only do client items in the next day. And that didn't work, because webinars will pop up that I think, oh, I've got to go to that one, and it's not all on education day. But if that webinar doesn't fall under my high priority, in other words, focus on my either my book marketing or my business marketing, then I've started to tell myself, you don't need to go there. And so it becomes a lower priority, because you know what I said on January 1st, if you never went to another webinar or read another book, you have enough knowledge now. If you would implement 1/10 of what you've learned, you would be able to accomplish a lot. So I've cut way back on thinking that I have to take every webinar or summit that comes up, because we have a lot of experience in education at this point in our lives that I don't think we really need to keep adding more. We need implementation. So my goal in January 1st was implement and simplify. And that's what I've been doing. I've been getting off mailing lists. I've been learning to prioritize better. And I implement each day, even if it's 2 items that are on the high priority list. At the end of the day, we need to go like this, not, oh my God, how much I didn't get done.
I love that.
Yeah.
We really need to say, hey, I did that. I got, the number one. So the 80-20 rule is so important, and learning to prioritize. And then underneath that is also learning, what can I delegate? Because I'm in between virtual assistants right now. And so when I was able to delegate, I was able to accomplish more. And so we have a lot of skill sets that we have to learn. As a matter of fact, the book that I'm working on now is about building a business around your book. And I teach a class for the University of California on building a business around writing. And one of the things that entrepreneurs have to learn, if they're coming in as a creative, like I'm an author, but I also have to be a business person, is how to get that business mindset, how to develop business skills, how to develop business habits. So I'm working on a book about that, because a lot of creatives don't have a business mindset. And we have to balance the creative. That's why I said I'm a left-right brain balance person. We have to take the creative and put it into a business formula, whatever that is for each of us.
I like that.
Stunning. Thank you so much, Andrea. Guys.
Now that we know that we're all different, we're all striving for a perfect entrepreneurial day, we all have different ways of getting there. Some of us successfully, some of us unsuccessfully. I think I'm kind of in the middle. That's where the community comes in, because we get to learn from each other.
Yeah.
It's as simple as going, hey, can we grab a cup of coffee? How do you do what you do? Does that work for you? Do you think that would work for me? And if not, find somebody else. Find somebody that does something similar to what you do. How do they do what they do? How do they strive for their perfect day, and how close are they getting to it? That's the nice thing about a community. You can build the relationships that you need to just go, hey, I think we need to have a cup of coffee. Everything kind of seems to be falling apart.
Like, Rita, help!
Rita,
life is going like this again.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been absolutely fantastic. For those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, please connect with our gorgeous, amazing, most beautiful entrepreneurs. They are our friends. We've handpicked them to be here today to talk to you. So that's all you have to do, is go to the description, check out their links, say, hi, saw you on the show, can we grab a coffee? And they'll probably be more than happy to have a coffee with you. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you again, same time, same place next week. Until then, may all your wildest entrepreneurial dreams come true.
ta-ta.
Bye.
Don't worry, Susie, you are in the right place.